ask known better than to walk into a lion's den wearing desperation like perfume? But there I was, standing in the marble lobby of Ravello Tower at midnight, my reflection staring back at me from gold-veined mirrors. The woman looking back was a stranger. Hollow eyes, trembling hands, a black dress I'd borrowed because everything I owned had been repossessed 3 days ago. The elevator doors opened without me pressing a button. Someone was watching. Someone always was in Enzo Ravello's world. I stepped inside, and the doors sealed shut like a tomb. 60 floors up. My heart hammered against my ribs as the numbers climbed. I'd heard the stories. Everyone had. The mafia boss who controlled the city from shadows and penthouse suites. The man judges called before making rulings. The ghost who decided which businesses lived and which burned. My father had owed him. Past tense, because Giovanni Vale was 6 feet under now, leaving me with his debts and a target on my back. The elevator chimed. Top floor. The doors parted, revealing a penthouse that looked like sin had been given an interior decorator. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city lights below, a kingdom he owned. Dark leather, chrome accents, and the faint smell of expensive bourbon and gunpowder. He stood by the window, backlit like a devil waiting for his due. Enzo Ravello didn't turn around, didn't need to. His presence filled the space, sucked the oxygen from my lungs. Broad shoulders in a tailored black suit, dark hair precisely cut, the kind of stillness that promised violence. "You're late." His voice was smoke and silk. "I'm here." My voice cracked. I hated how small I sounded. He turned then, and I forgot how to breathe. Photographs didn't do him justice. Sharp jawline shadowed with stubble, eyes so dark they looked black in the dim light, a mouth that curved into something too knowing to be called a smile. He was beautiful the way a loaded gun was beautiful, perfectly designed to destroy. "Sophia Vale." He said my name like he owned it. "You look like your mother." I froze. He'd known her? Before she overdosed when I was 12, leaving me alone with a father who cared more about his next score than his daughter? "You knew. I know everything about you." He moved closer, each step deliberate, predatory. "Your father's debts, your eviction notice, the loan shark circling your apartment, the fact that you haven't eaten in 2 days. Shame burned through me. I lifted my chin. "Then you know why I'm here. Tell me anyway." He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that I could see the scar cutting through his left eyebrow, a reminder that even kings bled. "I need help." The words tasted like acid. "My father's debt. They're coming for me. I don't have $200,000. He finished for me, plus interest. Your father borrowed from Nico Falcone before he died. Unfortunate choice." Nico Falcone. The name alone made my blood run cold. Enzo's rival, a man rumored to feed his enemies to pigs. "I'll pay it back." Desperation clawed up my throat. "However long it takes. I just need time, protection, something." "Begging doesn't suit you." Enzo's hand lifted and I flinched, but he only brushed a strand of hair from my face, his touch feather-light. Dangerous. Though I admit, watching you try is entertaining. Heat flashed through me, anger and something worse, something that made my skin prickle with awareness. "Please." I hated the word, hated needing him. "Just one night. Let me stay here where it's safe. Tomorrow I'll figure something out. His laugh was dark honey. "One night?" He circled me like a shark scenting blood. I felt his gaze on my bare shoulders, the curve of my spine, the rapid pulse at my throat. When he stopped behind me, his breath warmed the nape of my neck. "You think one night will save you?" His fingers traced my collarbone, barely touching, setting fire to every nerve. You think you can walk back into that world and survive what's coming? I shuddered. His body was inches from mine, heat radiating through the thin fabric of my dress. I could feel his control, the leashed power in every deliberate breath. What do you want from me? I whispered. Everything. His lips brushed my ear. Your loyalty, your obedience, your secrets. I turned to face him, our bodies almost touching. Big mistake. Up close, he was devastating. All sharp edges and barely concealed hunger. His eyes dropped to my mouth, and I watched his jaw tighten. I don't have anything you'd want, I said, but my voice betrayed me, husky and low. His hand caught my chin, tilting my face up. You have exactly what I want. The air between us crackled. I should have stepped back, should have run, but I was trapped in his gravity, drowning in those black eyes that saw too much. Why me? I breathed. Why not let Falcone take what he's owed? Something flickered across his face, too fast to read. Because you're mine, Sophia. You've always been mine. You just didn't know it yet. His thumb brushed my lower lip, and electricity shot straight through me. Wrong. This was so wrong. He was a monster. A killer. Everything my father had been and worse. But God help me, when he looked at me like that, like I was the only thing in his world worth possessing, I wanted to burn. One night, I pleaded again, my voice breaking. Please. His smirk was cruel and beautiful. You're mine forever. Then his mouth crashed onto mine. The kiss was brutal, claiming, a brand seared into my soul. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me against his hard body as he devoured me. I gasped, and he took advantage, his tongue sweeping in, tasting, conquering. I should have fought, should have pulled away. Instead, I kissed him back like I was drowning and he was air. When he finally released me, I stumbled, dizzy and aching. His eyes blazed with dark satisfaction. Welcome home, Bella, he murmured. Your one night just became eternity. I'd walked into hell asking for shelter. I'd just made a deal with the devil himself. And the worst part? Some twisted part of me wanted to stay. If you're already hooked and want to see where this dangerous obsession leads, please subscribe. Let my stories reach others who crave the darkness. Because Enzo Ravello doesn't let go, and neither will this story. I woke up in a bed that cost more than my entire life. Silk sheets, a mattress that felt like sleeping on a cloud, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing a sunrise that painted the city gold. For 3 seconds, I forgot where I was. Then I saw the black shirt draped over the chair, his shirt, and reality crashed back. I'd slept in Enzo Ravello's penthouse, in his guest room, after he'd kissed me like he was trying to consume my soul, then walked away, leaving me burning and confused in his living room. One of my men will show you to your room, he'd said, voice cool, controlled, like he hadn't just turned my world inside out. We'll discuss terms in the morning. Terms, like I was a business acquisition. I grabbed my phone, 17 missed calls from unknown numbers, 3 voicemails, all breathing and silence. Falcone's people, reminding me I was marked. A knock at the door made me jump. Miss Vale, a woman's voice, accented and professional. Mr. Ravello requests your presence for breakfast. Requests. Right. 20 minutes later, I'd showered in a bathroom bigger than my old apartment and put on the clothes that had mysteriously appeared. Designer jeans that fit perfectly, a soft cashmere sweater, expensive underwear that made me feel both cared for and violated. He'd known my size, every measurement. The dining room was all dark wood and crystal. Enzo sat at the head of the table, reading something on his tablet, a cup of espresso steaming beside him. He'd traded the suit for dark slacks and a white button-down, sleeves rolled to his forearms, revealing corded muscle and a watch worth 6 figures. He didn't look up. "Sit." I bristled at the command, but obeyed, choosing a chair across from him. A woman in chef's whites appeared, setting down a plate of eggs, fresh fruit, pastries. My stomach growled traitorously. "Eat," Enzo said, still not looking at me. "I'm not hungry." Now he looked up. His eyes pinned me in place. "You haven't eaten properly in days. Eat, Sophia, or I'll feed you myself." The threat shouldn't have sent heat pooling low in my belly. I picked up my fork, hating him, hating myself more. We ate in silence. I felt his gaze tracking every bite, every swallow. Possessive, calculating. Finally, he set down his tablet. "Your apartment has been cleared. Your things are being moved to storage." "What?" I dropped my fork. "You had no right. Falcone's men were watching it. They would have burned it with you inside." His voice was flat. "You're safer here." "Safe?" I laughed bitterly. "I'm a prisoner." "You're protected." He leaned back, fingers steepled. "There's a difference." "Not from where I'm sitting." His mouth curved, almost a smile. "You're sitting in a penthouse worth $30 million, eating a breakfast prepared by a Michelin-starred chef, wearing clothes worth more than your father made in a year. If this is prison, Bella, you should have committed crimes sooner." Rage flashed hot. "My father was a degenerate gambler who sold information to my enemies." Enzo's voice cut like a blade. "He stole from me, betrayed me. And when Falcone offered him a way out, he took it. The debt he left you, that's just the money. The real debt is blood." My world tilted. "What are you talking about?" Enzo stood, moving around the table with that predatory grace. He stopped beside my chair, one hand bracing on the armrest, caging me in. His scent, cedar and something darker, wrapped around me. "Your father gave Falcone intel on my operations. 3 of my men died because of it. A shipment worth $5 million was seized. He didn't just owe money, Sophia. He owed me a life." I couldn't breathe. "That's not..." He wouldn't... But I knew better. Giovanni Vale would have sold his own daughter for the right price. Maybe he already had. "Why am I here?" I whispered. "If my father betrayed you, why didn't you just let Falcone kill me?" Enzo's hand lifted, cupping my jaw. His touch was gentle, at odds with the violence in his words. "Because you're worth more to me alive. Because your father took something from me, and I'm taking something from him, even in death." "Revenge," I breathed. "Justice." His thumb stroked my cheekbone. "And opportunity." "What opportunity?" His smile was pure sin. "Falcone wants you dead, but he wants something else more. My territory, my connections, my empire. You're going to help me destroy him." I jerked back. "I'm not a weapon." "Yes, you are." He crouched, bringing us eye to eye. "Your father's betrayal opened a door. You're going to walk through it. Falcone knows you exist now. He knows you're mine. That makes you leverage." "I won't." "You will." His voice dropped to a purr. "Because I own your debt. I own your safety. And if you refuse, I'll throw you to the wolves myself." Tears burned my eyes. I refused to let them fall. "So I'm just... bait?" Something flickered in his expression, almost regret. "You're far more than that. But yes, for now." He stood, straightening his cuffs. Business concluded. "You'll attend a charity gala with me Friday night. Falcone will be there. You'll stay by my side, smile when I tell you to, and show the world that you belong to me. Understood?" I wanted to spit in his face, wanted to run. But where would I go? And if I refuse, he leaned down, his lips brushing my temple, then I'll make you wish you'd let Falcone kill you quickly. He walked away, leaving me shaking with fury and fear and something far more dangerous, the electric memory of his hands on my skin. I was trapped, not by locks and chains, but by debt and desire, and the terrible truth that part of me didn't want to escape. The next 3 days blurred together. I was measured for gowns, taught how to walk in heels that could double as weapons, given a security detail that followed me everywhere, 2 silent men in dark suits who looked like they ate nails for breakfast. Enzo was a ghost. I saw him in passing, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Italian, his face a mask of controlled fury. Whatever war he was waging, it was escalating. But at night, I felt him. Sometimes I'd wake to find my door cracked open, a shadow in the hallway. Watching, protecting or threatening, I couldn't tell. Other nights, I'd wander to the kitchen for water and find him on the balcony, whiskey in hand, staring at the city like a king surveying his crumbling empire. Once, our eyes met through the glass. He didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at me with an intensity that made my skin burn. I should have hated him. I did hate him, but I also dreamed about his mouth on mine. Friday came too fast. The stylist arrived at noon with a garment bag. Inside was a dress the color of blood, crimson silk that clung to every curve, a slit up to mid-thigh, a neckline that barely qualified as decent. "Mr. Ravello chose it himself," she said with a knowing smile. Of course he did. By 7, I was ready. Hair swept up, makeup dark and dramatic, diamonds at my throat, borrowed, I was sure, but they felt like a collar. Enzo was waiting in the living room. He turned when I entered, and the look on his face stole my breath. Raw hunger, barely leashed. His eyes dragged over me like a physical touch, lingering on the swell of my breasts, the exposed skin of my thigh. "Perfect," he murmured. "You look like mine." He crossed to me, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a bracelet, platinum, encrusted with rubies and diamonds, worth a fortune. "Your armor for tonight," he said, clasping it around my wrist. His fingers lingered on my pulse point. "Remember, Bella, you're mine. Act like it." I met his gaze, defiant. "And what do you get out of this?" His smile was sharp enough to cut. "Everything." Then he offered his arm, and I took it, stepping into the fire. The gala was a parade of predators in evening wear. Crystal chandeliers, string quartets, champagne flowing like water. Every smile concealed knives, every handshake a negotiation. These were the people who ran the city from shadows, politicians, judges, crime lords pretending to be legitimate businessmen. And at the center of it all, Enzo Ravello held court. His hand stayed on my lower back, possessive and hot through the thin silk. He introduced me as my Sophia to men who looked at me like fresh meat, women who assessed me like competition. I smiled, played my part, and felt like a beautiful ghost. "Relax," Enzo murmured in my ear during a lull. "You're doing perfectly." "I feel like a show pony," I whispered back. His fingers tightened on my waist. "You're a queen. Act like it." Then I saw him, Nico Falcone. He stood across the room, surrounded by his own entourage, older than Enzo, silver threading through his dark hair, handsome in a cold reptilian way. His eyes found mine, and his smile was a promise of pain. Enzo felt me tense. "Breathe." "That's him," I whispered. "The man who wants me dead. The man who won't touch you." Enzo's voice dropped to ice. "Not while you're mine." Falcone started toward us, cutting through the crowd like a shark through water. My heart hammered. Enzo's hand slid to my hip, pulling me against his side. Ravello, Falcone said smoothly, stopping before us. What a lovely companion you've acquired. Falcone. Enzo's smile didn't reach his eyes. Surprised to see you here. Thought you'd be hiding after the Port District incident. A muscle ticked in Falcone's jaw. Merely a setback. We all have them. His gaze slid to me, sharp and calculating. And you must be Giovanni's daughter. My condolences on your loss. Your father was memorable. Rage flared hot. He was a bastard, but he was my bastard. Falcone's eyebrows rose. Beside me, I felt Enzo's approval like a warm pulse. Spirit, Falcone murmured. How refreshing. Tell me, Miss Vale, do you know what your father stole from me before he died? Careful, Enzo warned, voice lethal. Just making conversation. Falcone's smile widened. After all, his debt transferred to his heir. That would be you, lovely Sophia. My blood ran cold. I don't owe you anything. Actually, Falcone leaned in, you owe me everything. Your father's debt, his betrayal, his life, and I always collect. Enzo moved faster than I could track. 1 second, Falcone was smiling. The next, Enzo had him by the throat, slamming him against the nearest pillar. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Security started forward. Touch her, Enzo said, voice deadly calm, and I'll feed you your own heart. Falcone's guards reached for their weapons. Enzo's men materialized from the shadows, the entire gala balanced on a knife's edge. Then Falcone laughed, raspy and choked. Point taken. Enzo released him, straightening his jacket like nothing happened. Glad we understand each other. Falcone rubbed his throat, eyes gleaming with malice. This isn't over, Ravello, not by a long shot. He walked away, his entourage following. The crowd exhaled, conversations resuming like the violence had been entertainment. Enzo turned to me, and the fury in his eyes made me step back. We're leaving, but now. He grabbed my hand, pulling me through the crowd toward the exit. I stumbled in my heels, trying to keep up. Behind us, whispers erupted like wildfire. The limo was waiting. Enzo shoved me inside, climbing in after me. The door slammed shut, sealing us in leather and tinted glass. What the hell was that? I demanded. He loosened his bow tie with sharp movements. That was Falcone declaring war. By threatening me? By claiming you're his. Enzo's eyes blazed. You're not his, you're mine. I'm not anyone's, I shouted. I'm not property. He lunged across the seat, caging me against the door. His hands bracketed my face, his body pressing mine into the leather. Heat and fury radiated from him. You became mine the second you walked into my penthouse, he growled. The second you begged, the second I decided to keep you. I didn't ask to be kept. His mouth crushed mine, swallowing my protest. The kiss was savage, all teeth and dominance. He kissed me like he was branding me, claiming me, erasing any doubt about who I belonged to. My hands fisted in his shirt, and I wasn't sure if I was pushing him away or pulling him closer. When he broke away, we were both breathing hard. You want to know why you? He rasped. Because you walked into my world and didn't break. Because you look at me like I'm a monster and still can't help but burn. Because I've wanted you since the moment I saw you, and I take what I want. Since when? I whispered. We just met 3 years ago at your father's funeral. My world stopped. What? His thumb traced my kiss-swollen lips. You wore black, cried alone in the back. No one comforted you. I watched you bury him and walk away with nothing, and I thought, that woman deserves better than the bastard who abandoned her. Tears stung my eyes. You've been watching me for 3 years? Protecting you. He leaned his forehead against mine. Your father made enemies. I made sure they never reached you, until Falcone. Why? Because you were supposed to be mine. His voice cracked, just barely. I was waiting for the right moment. Then your father died, the debt surfaced, and I ran out of time. I stared at him, this beautiful, terrifying man who'd orchestrated my salvation and damnation in the same breath. You're insane, I breathed. Probably. His smile was crooked, almost vulnerable. Does it matter? It should have. But sitting there, trapped between his body and the door, feeling his heart hammering against mine, I couldn't find it in me to care. What happens now? I whispered. His hand slid to my throat, feeling my pulse race. Now you stop fighting the inevitable. You're in my world, Sophia. You wear my jewelry, sleep under my roof, bear my protection. Everyone knows you're mine, including you. And if I run, then I'll hunt you. He kissed the corner of my mouth, soft and threatening. And when I find you, I'll make sure you never want to run again. It was a promise and a threat, wrapped in dark desire. The limo pulled up to his tower. He released me, smoothing his jacket like he hadn't just unraveled me completely. Come, he said, opening the door. It's late. I followed him inside, into the elevator, up to the penthouse. At my bedroom door, he stopped. Tomorrow we strategize, he said. Falcone made his move tonight. We need to make ours. And tonight? I asked, my voice barely audible. His eyes darkened. He stepped closer, backing me against the door. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back. Tonight, you dream of me, he murmured against my lips. Just like I'll dream of you. Then he was gone, disappearing into his own room, leaving me aching and furious and completely, hopelessly lost. I slid down the door, dress pooling around me. 3 years. He'd wanted me for 3 years. And God help me, I was starting to want him back. I didn't sleep. How could I, knowing Enzo was one wall away, probably awake, thinking about me the way I was thinking about him? 3 years. He'd watched me, protected me from shadows, waited. It was romantic in the most fucked up way possible. At dawn, I gave up, throwing on leggings and a tank top. The penthouse was silent. I padded to the kitchen, desperate for coffee, and found him already there. Enzo stood at the espresso machine, barefoot, wearing only black pajama pants. His back was to me, a canvas of muscle and scars. One particularly vicious scar cut across his right shoulder blade, puckered and white. A bullet wound, maybe. Or a knife. He turned unsurprised, like he'd sensed me. Couldn't sleep? His voice was rough from disuse. No. I crossed my arms, suddenly aware of how little I was wearing. His eyes tracked the movement, lingering on my exposed skin. Coffee? He offered. Please. We stood in silence as he made 2 cups, mine with cream, his black. He remembered, or he'd made it his business to know. We need to talk about yesterday, I said finally. Yes. He handed me my cup, fingers brushing mine. Falcone won't wait long. He's made his interest clear. Within a week, he'll make a move. What kind of move? The kind that ends with you dead or worse. Enzo's jaw tightened. He'll try to take you. Use you against me. Prove I can't protect what's mine. So, what do? We show strength. He moved to the window, cup in hand. Morning light gilded his skin, highlighting every scar. There's a meeting Tuesday night. High-level players, suppliers, distributors, people who control the flow of money in this city. I want you there. Why? He looked back at me, eyes intense. Because I want them to see you by my side. I want them to know that anyone who touches you answers to me. You're not just under my protection, Sophia. You're my partner. Partner? I laughed bitterly. I don't know anything about your world. You know more than you think. He set down his cup, approaching with that predatory grace. Your father was in deep. You saw things, heard things. You just didn't realize what they meant. He was right. Late-night phone calls, envelopes of cash, men with dead eyes sitting at our kitchen table. I'd trained myself not to see, not to know. I won't be your show pony again, I said. No. He stopped in front of me, close enough to touch. You'll be my queen. There's a difference. His hand lifted to my face, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was tender, at odds with everything he was. I need to know you're with me, he murmured. Not just physically here, but committed. Can you do that? I should have said no. Should have demanded he let me go, find my own way. But standing there in the morning light, his touch gentle on my skin, I felt something shift inside me. Maybe it was Stockholm Syndrome. Maybe it was the twisted truth that I'd been alone for so long, and he was the first person in years who looked at me like I mattered. What if I can't? I whispered. Then I'll teach you. His thumb stroked my cheek. I'm a patient man, Bella, when I want something. And you want me. More than my next breath. The words hung between us, raw and honest. Then my phone rang, shattering the moment. Unknown number. I answered, hand shaking. Hello? Silence, then breathing, heavy, deliberate. Sophia Vale! A voice rasped. Falcone. How's your mother doing these days? My blood turned to ice. My mother's dead. Is she? He laughed, cruel and cold. Sacred Heart Hospital, room 412. Funny how people forget to pay medical bills, isn't it? The line went dead. The phone slipped from my hand. Enzo caught it, checking the screen. What did he say? His voice was lethal. My mother. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She's alive, at Sacred Heart, but that's impossible. She overdosed when I was 12. I saw her body. You saw what your father told you to see. Enzo was already moving, grabbing his phone, barking orders in Italian. Luca, I need information. Sacred Heart Hospital, room 412, now. I stood frozen, my world crumbling. My mother was alive? Enzo gripped my shoulders. Look at me. Sophia, look at me. I met his eyes, drowning. We're going to Sacred Heart, he said firmly, right now, and we're going to find out the truth. The hospital was a fortress of sterile white and antiseptic. Enzo's men flanked us, 6 guards in dark suits, hands ready to reach for concealed weapons. We moved through the corridors like a black tide, nurses and doctors scattering. Room 412. I stood outside, paralyzed. Enzo's hand found mine, squeezing. Whatever's in there, he said quietly, you're not facing it alone. I pushed open the door. The woman in the bed was a ghost of memory. Thin IV lines running from her arms, monitors beeping steadily. But her face, older, worn, but unmistakably her. Maria Vale, my mother. She was alive. Mom? The word broke on my lips. Her eyes opened, brown like mine. Recognition flickered, then tears. Sophia, she whispered. Mi niña. I moved to her side, hands shaking. How? Dad said you were dead. I went to your funeral. A lie. Her voice was weak, threaded with pain. Your father, he needed me gone. I knew too much. Was going to leave him, take you with me. So he made a deal. With who? But I already knew. Falcone. She gripped my hand with surprising strength. Nico Falcone. He agreed to fake my death, keep me hidden in exchange for information about Enzo's family. Your father gave him everything, and I've been here ever since. A prisoner. Rage flooded me. My father had sold my mother to his enemy, let me believe she was dead for 15 years. Enzo stepped forward. How long has Falcone kept you here? My mother's eyes found him, widening. Enzo Ravello, you look like your father. You knew him. I did. Before everything went to hell. She coughed, wincing. Nico kept me alive as leverage, in case your father ever tried to turn. Then Giovanni died, and I thought I'd die here too. Until now. Why tell Sophia now? Enzo asked. Why call her? I didn't. My mother's face crumpled. Nico did. He's using me to hurt her, to hurt you. Of course he was. This was all a play. Falcone was showing me he could take everything I loved. Can she be moved? I asked Enzo, desperate. He was already on his phone. Luca, I need a medical team at Sacred Heart. We're transferring a patient to St. Catherine's. Full security detail. Make it happen. Within an hour, my mother was being loaded into a private ambulance, Enzo's doctors surrounding her. He'd arranged everything, a private room, round-the-clock care, guards at every entrance. She'll be safe, he promised me as we watched the ambulance pull away. I'll make sure of it. I turned to him, tears streaming down my face. Why? Why are you doing this? He cupped my face in his hands, brushing away my tears with his thumbs. Because she's yours, and what's yours is mine to protect. Then he kissed me, soft and deep, a promise sealed in the parking lot of a hospital. When he pulled back, his eyes were fierce. Falcone just made a mistake. He showed me what matters to you. Now I know exactly how to hurt him. How? His smile was pure vengeance. We take everything he has, his territory, his money, his power, and we make him watch as we burn it all down. That night, I sat by my mother's bedside in the private hospital, holding her hand. She was sleeping, the drugs keeping her comfortable. The doctors said she'd need time to recover. Years of poor treatment had taken their toll, but she'd live. Enzo stood in the doorway watching. Thank you, I said quietly. For this. Don't thank me yet. He entered, sitting beside me. Falcone will retaliate. This was a power play, and I just countered. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I don't care. I met his gaze steady. I'm with you. Whatever it takes. Something shifted in his expression. Pride. Possession. Hunger. Say it again, he murmured. I'm with you. He pulled me to my feet, his mouth claiming mine in a kiss that promised violence and devotion in equal measure. When we broke apart, my mother's eyes were open, watching. Is this the man who owns your heart now? She asked softly. I looked at Enzo, at the dangerous beauty of him, the darkness and the unexpected tenderness. Yes, I whispered. God help me, yes. The meeting was held in a warehouse by the docks. Not the glamorous gala this time. This was the real underworld. Concrete floors, stained with God knows what. Metal beams overhead. Men in expensive suits standing beside shipping crates that definitely didn't contain legal cargo. I wore black leather pants, a silk blouse, and heels sharp enough to kill. Enzo had chosen the outfit, running his hands over me as I dressed, his eyes promising things that made my breath catch. You look lethal, he'd murmured, pressing a kiss to my bare shoulder. Perfect. Now I stood beside him in this den of wolves, feeling their eyes on me, assessing, calculating, wondering what the infamous Enzo Ravello saw in Giovanni Vale's daughter. Enzo's hand rested on my lower back, a constant reminder. Mine. Gentlemen, Enzo addressed the room. His voice carried authority that made men twice his age straighten. Thank you for coming. We have business to discuss. We're here about Falcone, said a gray-haired man with a Russian accent. Dmitry Volkov, if I remembered correctly, one of the major suppliers. Word is, he's making moves on your territory. He's testing boundaries, Enzo replied smoothly, and finding them reinforced. By bringing your girlfriend to a business meeting? Sneered another man, younger, arrogant. This is serious business, Ravello, not a date. I felt Enzo tense beside me. Before he could respond, I stepped forward. My name is Sophia Vale, I said, voice steady. My father was Giovanni Vale. Some of you knew him. Some of you were burned by him. Murmurs rippled through the room, eyes sharpened with interest. Giovanni worked for Falcone, I continued. Fed him information about Ravello operations, information that got men killed. My father was a traitor, and I won't apologize for what he did, but I'm here to make it right. How? Dmitry asked, leaning forward. I glanced at Enzo. He nodded, almost imperceptibly. Permission. Trust. Falcone has been holding my mother prisoner for 15 years, I said, using her as leverage against my father, then against me. 3 days ago, Enzo helped me get her out. That's the kind of man he is. He protects what's his, and I'm his. The young arrogant one laughed. So you're his whore now? That's supposed to impress us? Enzo moved like lightning. 1 second, the man was smirking. The next, he was slammed against a shipping crate, Enzo's gun pressed under his chin. Call her that again, Enzo said softly, and I'll paint this floor with your brain matter. Silence. Nobody moved. She's my partner, Enzo continued, not lowering the gun. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. Understood? Nods all around. Even the man with the gun to his head managed a jerky agreement. Enzo released him, holstering his weapon smoothly. Now, as I was saying... The meeting continued. Discussions of shipments, territory divisions, Falcone's recent aggression. I listened, learning the language of this dark world. Numbers that meant lives, codes that meant death, and through it all, I felt Enzo's pride radiating. I'd passed some test, proven myself in front of his peers. When the meeting ended, the men filed out, giving me nods of acknowledgement, respect, grudging but real. Dmitry stopped before leaving. She's got fire, he said to Enzo. Your father would have liked her. After he left, Enzo turned to me. The warehouse was empty now, just us and shadows. You were magnificent, he said. I just told the truth. You claimed your place. He backed me against the nearest crate, hands bracketing my hips. Do you know what that does to me? Watching you stand your ground in a room full of killers? His body pressed against mine, hard and hot. I felt his desire, shameless and demanding. Enzo, I breathed. Say you're mine. His mouth found my neck, teeth grazing sensitive skin. Say it. I'm yours, he groaned, hands sliding under my blouse, touching bare skin. Again. I'm yours, I gasped as his fingers traced my ribs, my spine. Only yours. His kiss was brutal, claiming. He lifted me onto the crate, stepping between my thighs. The cool metal beneath me contrasted with the heat of his body. His hands roamed, possessive and skilled, finding places that made me arch into him. I've wanted this since the moment you walked into my penthouse, he rasped against my throat. Wanted to take you right there, make you scream my name. Then do it, I challenged, surprising myself. His eyes flashed dark fire. Not here, not like this. His hand cupped my face, forcing me to meet his gaze. When I take you, Bella, it will be in my bed, and you'll beg me for more. It was a promise that made heat pool low in my belly. He helped me down, steadying me when my legs trembled. His smirk was pure masculine satisfaction. Come, he said, taking my hand. Let's go home. Home. When had I started thinking of his penthouse as home? The ride back was charged with tension. His hand stayed on my thigh, thumb drawing circles that drove me insane. Every touch was deliberate, teasing, a preview of what he'd promised. We barely made it through the penthouse door before he had me against the wall, kissing me like he'd die without it. I matched his intensity, nails digging into his shoulders, teeth catching his lower lip. Bedroom? I demanded. Now. He laughed, dark and delighted. So eager. You promised. I promised you'd beg. He scooped me up effortlessly, carrying me through the penthouse. Let's see if you can keep up, Bella. He kicked open his bedroom door, a space I'd never entered. It was all dark sophistication. A massive bed with black silk sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a room designed for sin. He set me down, and suddenly the urgency shifted. Slowed. He looked at me with such intensity, such raw hunger, that I felt stripped bare. I need you to understand something, he said, voice rough. Once we do this, there's no going back. You'll be mine in every way. Body, heart, soul. I already am, I whispered. Something cracked in his control. He crossed to me, hands framing my face, and kissed me with a tenderness that broke my heart and remade it simultaneously. Then his hands were everywhere, stripping away clothes with practiced efficiency. My blouse hit the floor. His shirt followed. Skin against skin, heat and need and something deeper. He laid me on his bed, his weight settling over me like a promise. His mouth traced my collarbone, the curve of my breast, every touch worshipful and claiming. Beautiful, he murmured. You're so fucking beautiful. I arched into him, hands exploring the planes of his back, feeling scars and muscle. Each mark told a story of survival, of violence endured. He was a warrior, and I was his prize. When he finally entered me, we both gasped. The sensation was overwhelming. Fullness, completion, like two broken pieces finally fitting together. He moved slowly at first, watching my face, reading every expression. Okay? He asked, tender despite the strain in his voice. More, I demanded, wrapping my legs around him. Don't hold back. His control shattered. He drove into me with a rhythm that stole my breath, each thrust claiming and possessive. I met him measure for measure, nails raking down his back, leaving my own marks. Say my name, he commanded, voice raw. Enzo, I gasped. Enzo, please. Please what? Don't stop, never stop. He kissed me, swallowing my moans as pleasure built higher, sharper. His hand found the sensitive place between us, and I shattered, crying out his name like a prayer. He followed moments later, my name on his lips, body shuddering against mine. We collapsed together, tangled in black silk and sweat. His arms wrapped around me, holding me close. Mine, he whispered into my hair. Forever. Forever, I echoed, and meant it. In that moment, wrapped in the arms of a monster who looked at me like salvation, I finally understood. I wasn't trapped in his world. I'd chosen it. Later, as dawn painted the windows gold, I traced the scar on his chest, the one I'd glimpsed that first night. Who did this? I asked softly. His jaw tightened. My brother. I stilled. You have a brother? Had. His eyes were distant, haunted. Marco. He was Falcone's inside man. Tried to kill me 3 years ago. Almost succeeded. What happened to him? I did what had to be done. His voice was flat, emotionless, but I felt the pain beneath. Family or not, betrayal is betrayal. I pressed a kiss to the scar. I'm sorry. He pulled me closer, his heart beating steady beneath my ear. Don't be. It taught me an important lesson. Trust no one. Until you. Why me? Because you have nothing to gain from betraying me. Your father already did the damage. You're here by choice now, not coercion. That makes you the only person in my world I can truly trust. The weight of that trust settled over me. Heavy. Precious. I won't betray you. I promised. I know. He tilted my face up, kissing me softly. That's why you're dangerous, Bella. You make me vulnerable. And in my world, vulnerability gets you killed. Then we'll protect each other. His smile was crooked, almost boyish. Together against the world? Together against the world, I confirmed. As I drifted to sleep in his arms, I didn't see the shadows gathering outside. Didn't know that Falcone was already making his next move. Didn't realize that the greatest test was still to come. The next morning brought revelations that changed everything. I woke to an empty bed, Enzo's warmth still lingering on the sheets. Voices drifted from his study, tense, urgent. I pulled on his shirt, the fabric drowning me, and padded toward the sound. Can't be sure it's authentic, a man's voice said. Luca, Enzo's second in command. Run it again, Enzo ordered. I want confirmation. Boss, if this is real, then we have a problem. I knocked softly. The conversation died instantly. Enzo appeared in the doorway, still shirtless, jaw tight with tension. You should be sleeping, he said. What's wrong? He studied me for a long moment, then sighed. Come in. The study was chaos. Papers scattered across his desk, laptop open to encrypted files, Luca hovering with a tablet. Show her, Enzo said. Luca hesitated. Boss, she's in this now. She has a right to know. Luca handed me the tablet. On it was a document, old, photographed, barely legible. But I could make out enough. A birth certificate. My birth certificate. But the father's name wasn't Giovanni Val. It was Enzo Ravello Sr. The tablet slipped from my hands. Enzo caught it, setting it aside. No, I whispered. That's not possible. Luca found it in Falcone's safe, Enzo said, voice carefully controlled, along with other documents, medical records, photographs of your mother with my father. My legs gave out. Enzo caught me, guiding me to a chair. Your mother and my father had an affair, he continued, each word precise, clinical. Years before you were born, Giovanni knew. He married her anyway, knowing she carried another man's child. My father's child. The room spun. So Giovanni wasn't my father? Biologically, no. Enzo crouched before me, hands on my knees. But Falcone's had this document for years, since before my father died. He's been sitting on it, waiting for the right moment to use it. Why now? I managed. Because you and I are together. His jaw clenched. He's trying to destroy us with the truth, make it seem wrong, forbidden. I met his eyes, horror dawning. You're my brother. Your father was my father. We're half-siblings, Enzo finished. If this is real? You don't think it is? I don't know what to think. He stood, pacing like a caged animal. My father had affairs. It's not impossible, but the timing is convenient. Falcone produces this document right when we're at war, right when you and I have bonded. We need to test it, Luca said. DNA comparison, know for sure. My mother, I said suddenly, she would know. 20 minutes later, we were at St. Catherine's, bursting into my mother's room. She was awake, sitting up, looking healthier than yesterday. Her smile faded when she saw our faces. What's wrong? I handed her the tablet. Is this real? She went pale. Her hands shook as she stared at the document. For a long moment, she said nothing. Mom? I pressed. Is Enzo's father my father? A tear slipped down her cheek. Yes. The word hit like a bullet. Enzo turned away, hand dragging through his hair. I couldn't breathe. I'm sorry, my mother whispered. I should have told you. Should have told you both. Why didn't you? Enzo's voice was raw. Because Antonio, your father, he wanted it kept secret. He was married, building his empire. A bastard daughter would have been a liability. So we made a deal. Giovanni would raise you as his own. Antonio would provide financial support quietly, and I would never speak of it. Did Dad, Giovanni, know? I asked. He knew. She looked at me, eyes full of regret. He resented you for it, every day. That's why he was so cold, so absent. You reminded him of his wife's betrayal. Everything clicked into place. The neglect, the cruelty. Giovanni hadn't been a bad father to a daughter he loved. He'd been a resentful man raising another man's child. And Falcone? Enzo asked. How did he find out? Giovanni told him. My mother's voice broke. During one of his debts, traded family secrets for more time, he told Falcone everything, about you, about Antonio, about the whole ugly truth. Enzo laughed bitterly. Of course he did. I stood on shaking legs. So what now? We're related. We can't... I couldn't finish the sentence. Can't what? Enzo turned, eyes blazing. Can't be together? Sophia, we're not full siblings. We share a father, but we grew up separately, never knowing each other. Legally, morally, it's complicated. I cut him off. It's only complicated if we let it be. How can you say that? I gestured between us. Everything we've done, everything we've been to each other, it's wrong now. No. He crossed to me, gripping my arms. Don't let Falcone do this. Don't let him twist something real into something shameful. He's weaponizing this secret, but it doesn't change what I feel for you. Doesn't it? Tears streamed down my face. We didn't know, Enzo. We didn't know. And now we do. His forehead pressed to mine. And I'm telling you, it changes nothing. Not for me. How can you be sure? Because I've wanted you since before I knew the truth. Because even now, knowing what I know, I still can't imagine my life without you in it. Half-sister, stranger, enemy, I don't care. You're mine. My mother spoke up softly. Antonio would have wanted this. We both turned to her. What? I asked. Your father, both your fathers. They made mistakes. But Antonio, he always regretted not claiming you, not being part of your life. Before he died, he made Enzo promise to watch over you, to protect you. Enzo went still. I never told you that. I know. My mother's smile was sad. Because Antonio told me, during one of his visits to the hospital, he knew he didn't have much time left. He wanted to ensure you'd be safe, Sophia. So he made his son, his heir, promise to protect his daughter. Neither of you knew the full truth then. But now you do. So this was planned? I felt sick. He orchestrated us being together? No. Enzo's voice was firm. He asked me to protect you, that's all. What happened between us? That was real. That was us. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But the truth sat heavy on my chest. We shared blood. We shared a father. And we'd crossed every line imaginable. I need air, I said, pulling away. I need to think. Sophia, please, just give me space. I fled the hospital room, Enzo calling after me. But I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. And the man I'd fallen for was my brother. I spent the day hiding. Not physically. Enzo's guards still followed me everywhere. But emotionally, I built walls, trying to process the impossible truth. I wandered the city, walking until my feet ached. Enzo called 17 times. I ignored every call. By evening, I found myself at a small church in the old district. Not because I was religious, I'd given up on God years ago, but because I needed sanctuary, even the illusion of it. I sat in a pew, staring at stained glass saints, and tried to untangle my heart. Did I love Enzo? Yes. Was it wrong? Maybe. Did it matter? That was the question that haunted me. Thought I'd find you here. I turned. Enzo stood in the aisle, hands in his pockets, looking exhausted. How did you know? I asked. Your mother mentioned you used to come here as a child, after particularly bad days with Giovanni. He slid into the pew beside me, careful to leave space between us. Figured today qualified. We sat in silence, the church echoing with unspoken words. I'm not sorry, he said finally, for wanting you, for having you, for falling. He stopped, jaw clenched. I'm not sorry. You should be, I whispered. Why? Because we share DNA? Because society has rules about relationships? He turned to me, eyes fierce. Sophia, I've killed men. I've built an empire on blood and fear. I've broken every law that matters, and you think I'm going to let arbitrary morality stop me from being with the woman I love? My breath caught. Love? Yes, love. He said it like a challenge. I'm in love with you. Have been since the moment you walked into my penthouse and refused to break, and finding out we're half siblings doesn't change that. It just makes it more complicated. Complicated? I laughed bitterly. That's an understatement. Then uncomplicate it. He shifted closer. Tell me you don't feel the same. Tell me you want to walk away. Tell me this blood connection matters more than what we have, and I'll let you go. I opened my mouth, closed it, because I couldn't say those words. Exactly, he murmured. You're as trapped as I am. It's not a trap if we choose it, I said softly. His hand found mine, fingers interlacing. Then choose me. Choose us. Choose this fucked up, complicated, impossible thing we have. I looked at our joined hands, thought about everything we'd been through. The danger, the passion, the unexpected tenderness. What if Falcone uses this against us? I asked. Let him try. Enzo's voice hardened. I've already made calls. The document he has, whether real or forged, will disappear, along with anyone who knows about it. You'd kill to keep this secret? I'd burn the world to keep you. It should have scared me. Instead, it made something fierce and primal roar to life in my chest. Okay, I whispered. Okay. I choose you. I choose us. I met his eyes. Damn the consequences. He pulled me into his arms, holding me like I was salvation. Thank God. We sat there in the church, two sinners seeking redemption in each other, and I felt the walls I'd built crumble. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. I answered, hand shaking. Hello? Sophia. Falcone's voice dripped poison. How's the family reunion going? Found out any interesting secrets? Enzo tensed beside me, hearing every word. What do you want? I asked coldly. What I've always wanted. To destroy Enzo Ravello. Falcone laughed. And now I have the perfect weapon, his sister lover. Imagine the scandal when this goes public. The mighty Ravello empire built on incest and lies. You have no proof. I have everything. Documents, photographs, DNA evidence from your mother's medical records. I could release it tomorrow, destroy you both. Then why haven't you? Enzo demanded, taking the phone. Because I want something better. Falcone's voice sharpened. I want to watch you suffer first. Watch you lose everything. Your reputation, your empire, your precious Sophia. I'm going to take it all, piece by piece. And when you have nothing left, when you're broken and desperate, then I'll kill you. Big talk from a man who hides behind phone calls, Enzo said. Friday night, the Meridian Hotel. I'm hosting a little gathering, all the major players in this city. I suggest you attend. Bring your sister. Let's see if you can maintain your power when everyone knows the truth. The line went dead. Enzo stared at the phone, jaw clenched. Then he hurled it against the wall, shattering it. He's going to expose us, I said numbly. Not if I kill him first. Enzo, no. He turned to me, eyes blazing. He's threatened you, your mother, everything I've built. This ends Friday, one way or another. What are you going to do? His smile was razor sharp. I'm going to that gathering, and I'm going to remind Nico Falcone exactly who rules this city. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You don't get to protect me from this. I stood facing him. We're in it together, remember? You and me against the world. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Together. We left the church hand in hand, walking into the gathering dark, and I knew, with absolute certainty, that Friday night would end in blood. The days leading to Friday were a masterclass in strategy. Enzo turned the penthouse into a war room. Maps of the city covered every surface. Phone calls in rapid Italian filled the air. Men in dark suits came and went with military precision. And through it all, I learned. I learned how empires were built and maintained, how loyalty was bought and fear was wielded, how men like Enzo operated in shadows, pulling strings that made the world dance. Pay attention, he told me during one late-night session. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. If something happens, he repeated firmly, you need to know how to survive, who to trust, where the money is hidden, how to disappear if necessary. He was teaching me to rule. Luca is loyal to his core, he continued, pointing to his second. Dmitri can be trusted as long as you have something he wants. The judges and politicians, they're bought and paid for, but their loyalty shifts with power, always have leverage. And Falcone? Falcone is a rabid dog. Enzo's eyes were cold. You don't negotiate with rabid dogs, you put them down. Thursday night, he came to bed late, tension rolling off him in waves. I pulled him down beside me, hands working the knots from his shoulders. He groaned, relaxing into my touch. Tomorrow could change everything, he murmured. I know. Are you scared? Terrified, I admitted, but I trust you. He rolled over, pulling me on top of him. His hands slid up my thighs, settling on my hips. I need you to promise me something, he said seriously. Anything. If things go wrong tomorrow, if it looks like we're losing, you run. Luca will have an extraction team ready. You get your mother and you disappear. No. Sophia, I'm not running. I leaned down, pressing my forehead to his. I told you. We're in this together. Whatever happens, we face it side by side. You stubborn, infuriating woman. But his smile was soft, loving. What did I do to deserve you? Probably something terrible, I teased. He flipped us, settling between my thighs. Definitely something terrible. Then he kissed me, and talking became impossible. We made love slowly that night, every touch deliberate, every kiss a promise, like we were memorizing each other, preparing for goodbye, just in case. After, as I lay in his arms, he whispered, I love you, Sophia. Blood relation or not. Right or wrong, I love you. I love you too, I whispered back. And if tomorrow ended in fire, at least I'd go knowing I'd been loved by Enzo Ravello. Friday arrived too fast. I dressed in armor, a crimson gown that hugged every curve, diamonds at my throat and wrists, makeup sharp enough to cut. Enzo had sent everything, including a small handgun in a velvet box. Just in case, the note read. I strapped it to my thigh beneath the dress, the weight oddly comforting. When I emerged, Enzo was waiting. He wore all black, suit, shirt, tie. Devastating and dangerous. His eyes raked over me, darkening with approval and hunger. You look like a queen about to go to war, he said. Good. I took his offered arm. Because I am. The Meridian Hotel was a fortress of old money and older secrets. Falcone had rented out the entire top floor, a ballroom dripping with crystal and champagne. We walked in like conquerors, every head turned. Whispers erupted like wildfire. Everyone knew about the rumored documents, the scandal. They were waiting for the show. Falcone stood at the far end, surrounded by his people. When he saw us, his smile was triumphant. Enzo! Sophia! He raised his glass. How wonderful you could make it. I was just about to share some fascinating family history with our friends. Enzo's hand tightened on my waist. Save it, Nico. Oh, but everyone's dying to know. Falcone gestured to the crowd. Did you know that our esteemed Enzo Ravello has been sleeping with his own sister? Gasps. Shocked murmurs. Phones appeared, ready to record. I felt Enzo tense, ready to explode, but I stepped forward first. Half-sister, I corrected, voice carrying across the ballroom. And yes, everyone. It's true. Enzo's head whipped toward me. I squeezed his hand. Trust me. My biological father was Antonio Ravello, I continued. Enzo's father. A fact that was hidden from both of us until recently. Nico Falcone discovered this secret and is using it to destroy us. Because it's disgusting, Falcone snarled. Immoral. Wrong. Is it? I turned to the crowd. We didn't grow up together, didn't know each other as children. We met as adults, fell in love, and only then discovered the connection. We share DNA, yes, but we're not family in any way that matters. The law, someone started. The law? I laughed. Half of you have built fortunes on murder and extortion. You traffic drugs, weapons, people, and you're going to judge me for falling in love with someone who shares a parent I never knew? Silence. Uncomfortable shifting. Nico wants to destroy us with shame, I said, but shame only works if you accept it. I refuse. I love Enzo Ravello, proudly, publicly, and I don't care what anyone thinks. Enzo stared at me like I'd grown wings. Then he smiled, genuine, proud, fierce. You heard her? He said, pulling me against his side. Judge all you want, but this woman is mine, and I'm hers. Blood relation or not, and anyone who has a problem with that can answer to me. His hand slid inside his jacket, resting on his gun. A clear threat. The crowd wavered. Some looked disgusted, others calculating. A few, like Dimitri, looked amused. Well, Dimitri said, breaking the tension. I've seen stranger things. If they're happy, who cares? Nods of agreement. Slowly, grudgingly. Falcone's face purpled with rage. You can't just... I already did. Enzo's smile was sharp. Your secret weapon just became our public truth, and nobody cares. Congratulations, Nico. You've wasted years on leverage that means nothing. I'll destroy you another way, Falcone hissed. No! Enzo's voice dropped to ice. You won't, because I'm done playing games. He snapped his fingers. The doors burst open. Federal agents in tactical gear flooded the room, weapons drawn. Nico Falcone, the lead agent announced. You're under arrest for racketeering, money laundering, kidnapping, and murder. Falcone went white. What? How? I've been working with the FBI for 3 months, Enzo said calmly, giving them everything they needed to bring you down. Names, accounts, locations of bodies, all of it. You betrayed the code, Falcone spat. You brought in the feds. I brought in justice. Enzo's eyes were cold. You kidnapped Sophia's mother, threatened the woman I love, and you expected me to play by your rules? Agents seized Falcone, cuffing him roughly. He fought, screaming threats and curses. As they dragged him past us, he lunged, breaking free for 1 second. A knife appeared in his hand, slashing toward me. Enzo moved faster. The gunshot was deafening. Falcone crumpled, blood blooming across his chest. The knife clattered to the floor inches from my feet. Enzo lowered his gun, expression carved from stone. No one threatens what's mine. The agents didn't arrest him. They'd clearly been briefed on self-defense. They just dragged Falcone's body away, leaving a trail of crimson. The ballroom was silent, shocked. Then Dimitri started clapping. Slowly, others joined. Applause filled the space, approval for the fallen king, respect for the one still standing. Enzo turned to me, searching my face. Are you okay? I threw my arms around him, holding tight. I'm perfect. He kissed me in front of everyone, claiming me publicly, defiantly. When we pulled apart, the crowd was dispersing. The show was over. Enzo Ravello had won. Come on, he murmured. Let's go home. The penthouse felt different when we returned. Lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Falcone was dead. His empire was being dismantled by federal agents. And Enzo and I were free as two people drowning in darkness could be. I kicked off my heels, laughing breathlessly. Did that really just happen? You tell me. Enzo poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handing me one. You're the one who decided to air our secret to a room full of criminals. It was the right move. It was brilliant. He touched his glass to mine. You took his weapon and turned it into nothing. I'm in awe of you. We drank, the liquor burning warm down my throat. What happens now? I asked. Now? He set down his glass, pulling me close. Now we live. Build something real. Together. Your enemies will always exist, but we'll handle them. Together. That word again. Together. It felt like a promise, a vow. My mother, I said suddenly. We need to tell her it's over. Already done. Luca called the hospital. She knows Falcone is dead. Enzo's hands framed my face. She also said she's proud of you, of us. Tears stung my eyes. Really? Really? He kissed my forehead. She wants to be part of your life again, if you'll let her. I will. I smiled through tears. I want that. Good. His thumb wiped away a tear. Because family matters, even when it's complicated. I laughed wetly, especially when it's complicated. We stood there holding each other, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Marry me, Enzo said suddenly. I pulled back. What? Marry me. He said it like it was simple. I know it's crazy. I know we've only known each other a few weeks, but I've wanted you for years, Sophia, and I'm not wasting another second. We can't legally, so we'll do it privately, a commitment ceremony. No legal paperwork, but a vow between us. Forever. My heart was hammering. You're serious? Deadly. His eyes were intense, vulnerable. I'm asking you to be mine in every way, to build this life with me, to rule this dark empire by my side. Marry me, Sophia. Say yes. I should have said no. Should have been practical, cautious. Instead, I kissed him, deep and hard and full of promise. Yes, I whispered against his lips. Yes, I'll marry you. His smile was brighter than the city lights. He scooped me up, spinning me around, both of us laughing like maniacs. When he set me down, he pulled a ring from his pocket. Black diamond, surrounded by smaller ones, set in platinum. Dark and beautiful and perfect. I've been carrying this for a week, he admitted, sliding it onto my finger, waiting for the right moment. This is the right moment? Every moment with you is right. I kissed him again, softer this time. Tender. I love you, I murmured, my dangerous, complicated, impossible man. And I love you, my fierce, stubborn, perfect woman. We made love that night like it was the first time and the last time all at once. Slow and reverent, every touch a prayer. He worshipped my body with his hands and mouth, drawing out pleasure until I shattered beneath him. Then I returned the favor, learning every inch of him, memorizing the sounds he made when I touched him just right. When he finally entered me, we both gasped at the sensation. Complete. Whole. Mine, he breathed, moving inside me with deep, powerful strokes. Yours, I confirmed, meeting him thrust for thrust. Always yours. We came together, his name on my lips, mine on his, and I felt branded down to my soul. Afterwards, tangled in sheets and sweat, he held me close. Tell me this is real, he whispered. Tell me you're not going to wake up and regret this. It's real. I pressed a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. And I could never regret you. Even knowing what we share, even knowing what people will say, especially knowing. I looked up at him. We're not a fairy tale, Enzo. We're something darker, more real, and I wouldn't have it any other way. His hand stroked my hair, gentle and possessive. My dark queen. Your dark queen, I echoed. We fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, two broken pieces finally fitting together. 3 months later, the private ceremony was held in the penthouse at sunset. Just us, my mother, Luca, and a priest Enzo trusted. No legal documentation, but vows that bound us more surely than any law. I wore white silk, simple and elegant. Enzo wore all black, as always. My mother cried. Luca smiled, which I'd never seen him do before. I, Enzo Ravello, take you, Sophia Vale, to be my wife, Enzo said, voice steady and sure. In light and in darkness, in peace and in war, forsaking all others, I pledge you my loyalty, my protection, my love, forever. My turn. I, Sophia Vale, take you, Enzo Ravello, to be my husband, in light and in darkness, in peace and in war. Forsaking all others, I pledge you my loyalty, my strength, my love, forever. We exchanged rings, matching black diamonds, a symbol of what we were, beautiful and dark and unbreakable. By the power vested in me, the priest said, smiling, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss. Enzo pulled me into his arms and kissed me like I was his salvation, his damnation, his everything. When we broke apart, applause filled the room. Small, intimate, perfect. My mother hugged us both, crying happy tears. Your father would be so proud, she whispered to Enzo. Both our fathers, Enzo replied, including me in his gaze. Later, after the champagne and the cake and the quiet celebration, we stood on the balcony overlooking the city. His empire. Our empire now. Any regrets? He asked, arm around my waist. Not a single one. I leaned into him. You? Only that I didn't find you sooner. I smiled. We found each other when we were supposed to, not a moment before. Fate? Fate, I agreed. He kissed my temple. What do you want to do now, Mrs. Ravello? Everything. I turned to face him. I want to learn the business, really learn it. I want to be your partner in every way. You already are. Then I want to be your equal. His smile was proud. That can be arranged, though fair warning, my world is dangerous. I know. I touched the scar on his chest, hidden beneath his shirt. But I'm not afraid anymore. Why not? Because I have you, and you have me. Together, we're unstoppable. He kissed me, deep and claiming. Together, he murmured. always. We went back inside, into the life we'd built from blood and secrets and impossible love. Was it conventional? No. Was it right? Maybe not by society's standards, but it was ours, and that was all that mattered. 6 months later, I sat in Enzo's office, our office now, reviewing reports from the Port District. My mother was downstairs in the guest suite, healthy and happy, finally free. Enzo entered, pressing a kiss to my neck. How's it looking? Profits are up 15%. The new distribution network is working. Excellent. He spun my chair, pulling me to my feet. Take a break. Come with me. Where? You'll see. He led me to the roof. I hadn't been up here before. It was private, locked, his sanctuary. But now he was sharing it with me. The view was breathtaking. The entire city spread out like a kingdom of lights. This is where I come to think, he said, to remember why I do what I do. Why do you? Power, at first. Control. Survival. He turned to me. But now, I do it for you. To build something we can pass on. Pass on? My heart skipped. Enzo, I'm not proposing we have children now, he said quickly, but someday, maybe, if you want. I stared at him. You'd want that? Knowing what we are? I'd want everything with you. He pulled me close. Children, empire, legacy, all of it. Tears filled my eyes. I'd want that too. He kissed me under the stars, and I felt the future unfold before us. Complicated, dangerous, unconventional, but ours. I love you, I whispered. I love you more, he replied. Impossible. Watch me prove it. His smile was wicked. Every day for the rest of our lives. And he did. 1 year later, I stood on the balcony of our new home, a sprawling estate outside the city. Safe, secure, ours. My mother lived in the guest house, painting in her studio, finally at peace. Enzo's empire had expanded, but differently now. Legitimate businesses fronting the less legal ones. Charity foundations, political contributions. We were becoming respectable. Almost. I heard footsteps behind me. Enzo wrapped his arms around me from behind, hands settling on my still flat stomach. How are you feeling? He asked softly. Good. Nervous. Excited. We'd found out 2 weeks ago. A baby. Our baby. We're going to be amazing parents, he murmured. Or terrible ones, I joked. Probably both. He turned me to face him, but we'll figure it out. Together. There was that word again. I kissed him, slow and sweet, tasting the promise of our future. We'd started in darkness, violence, secrets, forbidden desire. But somehow we'd found light. Not conventional light, not pure or simple, but ours. And as I stood there in the arms of the man who'd claimed me, protected me, loved me despite everything, I knew one truth absolutely. I'd walked into Enzo Ravello's world asking for one night, and he'd given me forever.
Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your support helps me bring you even more emotional, heartwarming stories filled with love, tension, and unforgettable moments. Stay tuned. More beautiful stories are on the way.